or mute myself. Wait for a couple of minutes. Maybe even maybe start at 8:35. Get people to kind of settle in if anyone comes by. So I'll mute myself for now. guess I'll just start looking at some of the bills. Corona Chan. I must have looked at the picture. I got some like watermark, like I got some splashes on me, and I was drinking a freaking lot of water, and I realized that. I just want to let you know, guys. That's like just water, not some other shit. Although it'd be funny as hell because people think it's like such a like a amateur job that I'm looking like a fucking hobo and wearing dressed like a hobo. I hope people don't give a shit. Anyway, looks like Bacon's in the house. Bacon, where'd you go? All right. Hmm. All right. All right. Maybe I should start. It's 8:36. Bacon's in the house. Uh, that was awesome, Bacon. So no, I mean, you know, I was glad to help. I mean, if there's anything I did, I'm like, and just me and just my well wishing of all the people that listen to me, all the people I love, and them doing good, and even if I help them 1% with my guidance or whatever, that's awesome. That's all that matters. Um, but yeah, now I've been like cause so I'm supporting three people and none of us have a job at home. So unfortunately, even though I'm minding the market, I'm only like playing in little bits. So I'm not really pulling. I'm not like trading with 100,000, 4%. Yeah, nah. So I'm putting in like small positions. And I got pissed off at TD. I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm thinking of pulling my money up from TD and go to, because most of my money isn't with TradeStation. So fucking, screw this. I'm pissed at TD. That I'm gonna talk about it. Um, what'd you do? 4%. What'd you do? What kind of position you put on? Yeah, so I was all thinking of going on the airliners, you know. All right. Ah, come on. What the fuck? Why did it do that? Let's As you can see, Apple. So Uncle Applesauce, in other words, about to get blown the fuck out against Trump. You know, I mean, it's possible that because the whole system, the whole fix is in, right? You got demographics, you got money, you got popular votes. Um, I mean, that's all that against is Trump. The whole establishment, so to speak. I mean, Trump has a lot of things going against him that is systemic. Um, but person to person, I mean, half of the presidential thing is, presidential election thing is like, who's more popular, right? So, Trump obviously is going to be, the better candidate in that because I mean, it's clearly, I mean, Trump is like, how many other people are like Trump? Versus, I mean, fucking Joe Biden is just a middling, career politician, right? Politician, fucking, um, you know, who doesn't know where he's fucking at, any like drop of a hat. He just says the dumbest things. You know what I mean? It's just totally senile. So all in all, I mean, if Biden wins, it's like the fucking whole Democratic field is just between the choice of between shit and what was that douche, something like that. So, um, anyway, so I guess I should just start it because how long am I gonna be waiting for other people to show up? My favorite, Jeffrey Bacon, Monsieur Bacon. You are over here, so that's all that matters, Like one, you gotta get like you gotta get a headset, right? And I'll get you in as a co-host, like on the weekends or like at night or whatever, and I'll find a way because through Skype or I think Streamlabs, to get coasts in, and then after that, we'll have a lot of fun. So that way, like we can bounce off each other. But yeah, I was just gonna take a victory lap as my title says right there. Again, this is the internet, so as much as I should not be like that proud or all that, and because it fucks up with your own trading psychology. Is the internet half of it? I'm just doing this in jest. The other half in irony. I mean, so one of these days when I hit a rough patch, then it starts to come back on me. But anyway, so I'm just gonna take as much credit as possible because it's the internet. It's all about marketing and what have you. Um, and I mean, look at my track record. Fucking, it's like I'm like a fucking soothsayer. I'm like God's trading trading like prime minister or something, right? And you got like all this fucking people making millions and millions of dollars with MBAs doesn't know shit, and I'm just a guy on fucking Twitter that's making fucking making videos. Oh, RCL. See, this is kind of shit with your CFA background. It's you know this is the kind of stuff that if I have you on with your background, it's like it's a nice change too. We can go into like more of like a valuation, more of like a book valuation model that let's say I have some basic on the surface understanding of it, but I don't necessarily have the detailed understanding of stuff like that. I mean, I could, but it's boring to me, and I'm a trader. I don't really give a crap about that kind of stuff. Or, it's and it's like E mini. You trade E mini. I mean, fuck DCF and all this other valuation models or whatever other valuation model there is. And anyway, so let's see. Let's look at Royal. Come on, what the fuck? I got a bone to pick with fucking TD. Yeah, so all right, Corona Chan. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, the Lord. Yeah, it's like people are not gonna go and stop, going on cruising, right? So, let me switch my window so everyone can see both the chart and me. And now the magic portion of this. Add chroma. And bada bing. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Awesome power. Um, so yeah, as you can see, RCL, Royal Caribbean, 47, not bad. See, I think there's still some legs, obviously for legs of this thing to keep on going. I don't think it's the coronavirus thing obviously out. It's still something that like you said, like it's something that you got to hold on for a couple of years or so. And I think given the valuation, it's very much I mean, you can't say no. Give me a second here. Look at the yielding 6%, not bad. But yeah, I just like this is a great area to keep on like dollar cost average in. Try to get on like different, essentially playing cost basis, defending cost basis. If you can lower your cost base as much as possible, I don't know, sell puts and what like that. That's basically I'm not a necessarily big option trader. Um, but that's a great way to kind of just average in, get some little bit of cost basis to be shaved off. So yeah, I think that's great. But yeah, like I just think there's still a lot of opportunity to get into even better pricings, because the news that's coming out now, what moved the market today, if you look at the market, it's essentially kind of like it's almost like it's really a regular correction or bear market consolidation type of market move that happened today. So I mean so here, let's go, where was I? So, by the way, official, let's do this. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening, everyone, outside of bacon, because you've been here. Thank you for tuning into the trading show. My name is Sid Chaudhry, and I'm gonna be your host, your handsome host for the night. And so, what we will do is we'll go over the market, what happened, over the overnight, yeah, from yesterday, and kind of go over looking at the market and see what might be affecting it. Um, so this kind of kind of segues to what I was talking to one of my good friends, Jeffrey Bacon, who's on the chat right now, about the market, which is that essentially, he was looking at Royal Caribbean, right? And our conversation was to the extent that you can find deals, or not deals, like good valuations right now in the market. However, like that's basically where we have to think of like the other aspect being that we were talking, what our conversation was also, that there might be more possibilities of it getting better, entry points and dollar cost averaging points, which is to say that as the market's going down, you might be able to shave off a lot of your cost basis as much as possible. So there's ways to do that. That's something maybe we can talk about. But I'll just go over first of all what happened with the market overnight, and what were the levels we're looking at, and what was the expectation. And obviously, like my title of the video says, I was right again. I mean, I can't keep on getting away with this. I mean, this is too much. Um, so, but at the same time, though, this is the internet, and this is all fucking slinging shit all over the place, and I might as well just take the credit and all the good stuff while I can, because everyone, it's pretty much everyone's like, I mean, look at CNBC or Bloomberg or whatever, right? I mean, all these people are wrong. How many people are right? And most of them are wrong and still have millions of dollars of jobs, and I have to fight with FINRA for my licenses, but I gotta, and I'm consistently, let's say, right, but I have to do YouTube videos, which is actually great, But this is I enjoy this because, like I said in some of my previous videos, that I've started some of my own business, and so this is a great way for me to kill some time, get be up to date on the market, and make small trades. Again, I'm not trading with big money right now because I'm saving, and not saving. Living off of my savings basically, and I support a family. None of us have a job because we're all working on setting up a business. So in the meantime, trading with small amount. If I had income coming in, I would have been trading right now. Putting some big trades in. Primarily, I trade futures. But this is a great time to also get in. Well, not necessarily a great time, but this is I guess, way, a time to put in judicious, like, thought out positions, because on stuff on assets that are really real, that have taken the big hits, and they're not necessarily short-term trades. I mean, this is a great time to trade intraday because of the volatility of the market. Like, in a given day, I mean, if you look at the market, it's going up and down. Like, it will switch sides like 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. And so, which goes to show there's a lot of volatility. But however, that also precludes, or makes it harder to keep on intermediate positions. Um, but and especially when it goes on a counter trend to the main trend. But essentially, kind of go over what happened is overnight you have a few things happening. The primarily, you have the Trump, the fiscal policy, like what was that, the pay, um, the pay, the pay tax. I forget. The basically the pay scale tax, right? So essentially, fiscal policy would be that companies don't have to pay taxes on their the wages that they pay out, stuff like that. So, dang it, let me just look it up. I'm just blanking out on verbiage. This is just embarrassing. Let's see, but Biden, Biden makes me laugh, but then so does other guys. Um, so so kind of like while I'm looking up the exact news and I'm just blanking out things. Um, so basically, what happened is that the whole policy they're coming up with is to basically go take a look in the fiscal side of it, try to make it less burdensome from a cost perspective and tax perspective on companies and employers. At the same time, obviously they're reiterating that they're willing to do anything to help the quote unquote economy. So in other words, that means a whole lot of Fed intervention, essentially, right? So they're willing to cut, interest rates, which is what the futures market was expecting, um, to cut like maybe 50 basis points in by next, like in, I think, like middle of this month. I forget, like, that's the next Fed meeting. So in other words, that essentially they're lining up with a lot of these quote unquote stimulants for the economy to prop up the market. Essentially, they'll take a look at SPX, and they don't want the SPX to go down, right? Yeah, there you go. In 2 weeks, 2 weeks. That's right. Um, and so what happens is basically then we're looking at essentially the government trying to prop up and their job. They're trying to not to they're trying to manage fear. In other words, like market can go down, but if it just crashes, I mean, then we're talking about something catastrophic. So they're trying to basically manage that down movement. Now, as I've said in some of my previous videos or streams, that which if you can go back, as you will see, humble brag that I'll be right about all these things. Um, that what you're seeing is essentially that nobody cares about markets booming. It's blooming. uh, Bloomberg. That's a Bloomberg meme. So as if you know interest rates, all this kind of stuff doesn't really help with defeat. Helping with helping with coronavirus. I mean, virus don't give two shits about it, right? So um, that's the one good news. The other good news is obviously the fact that the whole oil war thing is somewhat, that was a shock over the weekend, but now it's kind of settled in, and so you can see that oil price action is kind of like essentially more or less in the same, generally kind of like in the same area or so. So it's about $35, right? So yesterday was 34. So things are trying to retrace a little bit. Is it likely to go up to 40 or where it was anytime soon? It remains to be seen. Likely not, because the thing is that there's going to be protracted lack of demand. The number one user of oil is China, and if the PMI is down like half, like 50%, right, and they're not shipping things, they're not making things, that whole basically, what's the point, right? So that implies that's going to trigger a downward price movement, and so that's also what was interesting, because Trump was talking about, how they'll try to prop up the shale industry too, which in the big sense still basically means that lower oil prices, right? Because if they mean by that they just keep them afloat, in other words, that the oil taps are going to be turned off, but they're going to be the companies will be live because they're not going to go bankrupt. That's one thing, but it remains to be seen if they're still pumping oil and gas and energy. I mean, then it's going to be even cheaper prices everywhere, which on the rebound, when everything settles down, will be good. But till that moment, prices will be really, really be stamped down. Now, the price action has been pretty good, right? In other words, they're slowly kind of coming out of it, but likelihood of them going back to where they came from is not high. But the reason I went on that tangent, had a different tangent in mind, is that that was in the background. So this is not necessarily a shock anymore. The shock is kind of over with. And this is why I was saying is that financial things are easy to deal with. Things like these are easy to deal with because that's what all the Fed and whatever, traders have the right, they have the tools to deal with something like that. It's hard to deal with something like that's beyond the scope of finance, that's beyond the scope of like trading or economic movements, which is basically virus, or like, let's say, a war or something like that. Now, some people do profit from war. In fact, some people precipitate and make wars happen. And I'm not gonna go in that direction because that's a different conversation. But because you can make money doing that way. Obviously, I mean, they're being assholes. I mean, then there should be, God should do something about it. But the point being that. That this is something that's harder to deal with, just by lowering interest rates, or lowering the tax threshold or something like that, right? Or outright buying up, like open market operations, and like making uh, the Fed's balance sheet bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's not necessarily gonna that might prop up the market, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna make the economy, quote unquote, work, right? Now, the other thing that's kind of under nobody's talking about is that China, Xi Jinping, Jinping, whatever. It's a Chinese name. What the fuck you expect, right? So he said that basically that they won against coronavirus in Wuhan. Now the thing is that all this time, if it can be seen that the Chinese, the way they dealt with it is really the right way to dealt with it is probably the right way to deal with it. That's my opinion, in the sense that basically, they have a functioning government that just said everything closed out. We're gonna take care of it right now. Now there are many theories that where this whole thing came from. Obviously, that the so-called mainstream news pretty much has no fucking clue where this came from or whatever answers to that. However, that there's a lot of different theories, and the theories are based off of many different kind of like background information, right? Anything from like this is a new mutation to, because this it's truly novel. It's almost looks like a combination of like SARS and bat coronavirus and HIV. So you have a lot of these possibilities of what kind of disease it might be. So the thing is that they haven't really won. All that is that their numbers of new infections or new patients are lower. That's it. On everyday, on day-to-day basis now, they're seeing that they're having lower number of new patients, right? Now, that doesn't mean anything in this, because in these kinds of pandemic or epidemic or whatever, especially with flu, there's like kind of like a peak and then a second peak, because what happens is that the people who got infected on the way while it's peaking down, it takes time for them to show up that they have the symptoms. And also this infection does give you it does reinfect you. So in other words, they might say what the hell they want to say, not to mention that they are probably fudging the numbers, which again is probably the right thing to do. You got to be a little Machiavellian about it. Probably the right thing to do in order to kind of like stamp down fear, right, and panic. So in a sense that it's like saying that, hey, we're gonna close down the country, which obviously causes panic, but then we're not gonna tell everyone how bad things are, because that might just even make people more panic even more, right? So in other words, that people are not quietly sitting down at home. You don't want them to fucking go on the street and do something. But then again, China is a well-run, in a sense, an orderly, well-run like state, right? So that's not likely to happen. And as we all know, the government will stamp down if they have to. Now, the reason that's important is, if you think about it, think of it like the end of the beginning. So it started in China, and then if this is true, it's really the end of the beginning. Because let's say theoretically there's less people getting infected, right? Which I kind of doubt that. But let's say it happens. Well, it's gonna take what, 2 months for it to like go to zero? Because it's been 3 months, it's been going up, right? Let's say 2 to 3 months. But there's rate of reinfection. Unlike before, when new people would get infected, on the way down, there will be reinfection happening though, right? So it's not going to be 2 to 3 months. It's going to be something longer than that. So during that time frame, how many people that are, how many of those the economic activity will be back online, right? So, not everyone. So then you have the other problem of this whole thing has a cascading effect. So now it's spread everywhere, pretty much every country, right? Every country, excluding Africa, but they don't fucking like have any kind of ways to fucking, they don't have the resources to check people, right? Relatively speaking, so it's likely that it's going around, nobody knows. So now you have the problem of, okay, so it's now in Europe. Now it's barely starting in Europe. Now let's say it's going to take some time for them, for the whole disease to kind of do its work. If it's the same thing of 2 to 3 months on the way up, and let's say 2 to 3 months on the way down, we're looking at how long? Like 1 to 2 quarters, right? Then you think of America, right? I mean, it's a shit show. They had like 2 months of head start. They could have closed down, what you would call travel with China and other places. They didn't, because my economy. And then you can't, say that, that it's from China or it's the Wu flu, because that's racist, unless like you let an Asian man like sneeze right in front of you and slobber over you, right? So I mean, basically, this is like fucking. It's retarded to such an extent that it's been everywhere. It's spread everywhere. It's walking everywhere, right? They have been testing, like Italy tested, even in spite of the problem they had. Like how many people are coming down with it? 1,000 people a day, right? Um, in spite of that, Italy initially were testing. They tested like 20,000 people. In America, they tested 400 guys, like 400 people, right? And they were letting people go who didn't show, again, any kind of symptoms. But be that as it may, the symptoms don't show up for this disease. The symptoms do not show up on like 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, usually up to 4 weeks, and sometimes even longer than that. So, so the point being that this will take time to kind of play out. And so what we're seeing now, like I was expecting, the market will do a somewhat of a rebound, and that's what it did. It's looking like a generic like bear market rebound. So what happens is that those are the underlying news overnight that can impact the market, especially today, especially with the Trump stuff. But what happens is it's kind of like giving people hope for the moment. But if you look at the basic fundamentals, we are in the same position as before. Those are just news, right? The number of people who have this disease still there. People are still getting infected. People are still dying, and this is going to like new places everywhere, right? It's infecting everywhere now. And those places will go through the same thing that China did. So, in other words, this is not over. So, and this is normal because if you look at a bear market, what happens is that you will have strong down movement. The thing is that this bear market, the down movement was so strong that, the chart says everything. But the point being that, when the market came down like this. Oh, really? I received 100 messages today with Resteam chat. Okay, whatever. So what happens is that as the market is going down on the rebounds, the strength is going kind of like petering out, right? So if a market's going down and it crashes down, and then the market kind of goes up with good strength, and then kind of settles, that's a consolidation. That's usually what happens on, like, say, washout day. In other words, that point of maximum pain, maximum fear. That's the point to go in. But on a downtrending market, what happens is that two things: if the market keeps on going down, which is good strength, or B, if it goes on too much, what essentially happens is that it does a retracement. And the retracement, though, is not necessarily as strong, and that's how you figure out, because A, we have the same situation we had before. What moved this thing is just news. So as like thousands of years of trading at basic like one-on-one advice, sell the news is, well, sell the news, right? So has anything changed? No. Fundamentally, no. So we're still in the same stuff. So what's happening though in the meantime though is it's giving the bottom feeders, they're coming in, they're taking some of the longs, and also you have people who are closing out the shorts. So in the meantime, you're looking at the market, like I was saying, doing somewhat of a retracement. It went up really well at the end of the close of the market. And so that's something we're going to go over. And this is why, let me take off that total volume study. So this is why, this is like basically what it, if you look at it at the bottom, right, it's almost like a perfect W pattern. Now, usually that means that we have found some kind of a bottom. Now, immediate bottom, or long-term bottom. This is more of an immediate bottom in my, then I'll kind of go over. That's based on my guesstimate or my judgment, right? Again, this is just basic guidance, I'm not God, right? Even though I did say I'm God's trading prime minister, I'm not really God. I'm not that. I lied. So, but the point being that you can see that the market has retraced. But the thing is, if you look at the early in the day, the market was retracing to the downside really hard. And so for some time, you can see the market was essentially kind of undecided. And for most of the day, it kind of started moving up, but it if you look at the early action, it was like it didn't know. It looked like it was going to go down. It didn't know. It came in the middle of the day, and then it was kind of consolidating. It went up again, right? Now, if you look at, and I'm not exactly a you know artist with like candlesticks and shit, but if you look at it, the market move that happened isn't as the difference isn't that much in relation to what the bar was before. And most of the day, the bar was inside the previous bar, right? So, in other words, that the price action was really congested, and there's a lot of undecided. The market was undecided which way to go. So that's what it essentially kind of price action wise implies. Now, what happened at the end of the day is it still went up, like as we're expecting, a little bit of retracement. 2880, it went up through the 2847 line or so that I had before. Or, yeah, 2847. I thought it was 2847, but at any rate, so that's basically kind of like a general area that goes back quite some time of good amount of congestion. And so, that area, if you look at it, it started the day yesterday close to that, and essentially we're looking at the market kind of bouncing. At least that if it keeps on moving and bouncing between where it's at and at like 2950, right? Now the reason these are just based on my let's say experience and whatever or expertise or trading knowledge or whatever, that this feels like a bear market rally is because the up moves are not that strong, and like I said, they tend to trade inside of the down markets in terms of the candlesticks. And if you look at the up move, it's not as strong. It did not make the move back right away, which tells you that there's not capitulation, right? There's more to go because people are keeping this zone, and so there's going to be a good amount of congestion around the same zone. Whenever you have capitulation, what happens is that market really goes down, and then market shoots up again because what happens is that it's people who are just really afraid selling everything. So in this situation, though, the market just didn't go up or anything like that, and so you don't have this like automatic like quick reaction to the upside. So that's basically market action. And I had some other points. I gotta do a better job of like writing everything down. I tend to go on like off top of my head, so it is what it is. All right, so basically this is where the market stands right now. If this is a bear market rally, let's add some time at, let's see, 10. Okay, if this is a bear market rally, right? We're looking, to be like I said, like the kind of like the range that I had was up at 29. What was that? 40 52. 29.52. Dang it. I gotta have that bubble thing on. 29.47. 29.47. So, again, this is just general areas, and we might be seeing some kind of action there, and it might go and test that zone. And so that will be basically the pivot point to the upside. And if it breaks up, you see that it still has to go through this zone, which is about 31.50. If it breaks up, then we're looking at 32, and then 31.30 or so. So congestion over in the middle over here, and then the top of the counter move, the counter trend in the previous cycle. So that's basically if it goes up. Now, given, like I said, the underlying reason for the market to go down is still there. That didn't change. It is what it is. And so therefore the possibility the market keep on moving up, in my opinion, is not really there. and things are still happening overseas, and that makes it kind of like hard to make the case that the same situation is still there. That kind of makes it hard to make the case that this is going to be a bottom. Now, this happened in a month worth of time, not even a month, like 3 weeks, right? And so whenever something like that it goes down this far this quickly, you might have two things. If this was a correction, things will get up real quick and then kind of balance out, kind of consolidate. Or B, if it's something serious, because look at how it just burned through a whole year of basic price action, right? In fact, it basically went 2 years worth of price action. Um, and so that's a strong move. And likelihood of people just going back in the market is not necessarily there. So it has, if the market goes up, it will go through consolidation that will last for some time. Now, if the consolidation doesn't last for some time, if there's quick move up, that means that there's not a lot of people coming in and supplying, to demand over a consistent period of time, and people are just like swinging for the fences, right? So if it just shoots up at this point, it's probably not necessarily the best time to be buying in. Like I said, it's the market's still in a downtrend. We have every Friday that closed the day was below the day before. Again, those are just anytime you have a bear market, the Fridays are usually lower than the day before, the close of the day before. So there's a lot of these like long-term, very basic one-on-one things that are happening. That means that we're still a downtrend. However, if it keeps on moving up, if it stays around the 2850 level tomorrow, let's say it keeps on being there and hangs around, it's showing that there's good strength. It might go up and test the 2950 level or so, and then it remains to be seen what's gonna move it up after that. But that will be the level up, and but at the same time, like we were, the expectation though, my outlook is that it will then revert back to a downtrend because all the reasons that we said. Let me go ahead and kind of also spread it out. Look how steep this decline is, right? Things are not gonna go down like this all the time. So at some point we will see that retracement. But the retracement here, let me show you something here. That retracement though generally is something to be sold rather than bought into. Here, dang, what the okay. So just another signal here. So the market, the quite a bit more volume on the day. I mean, not quite a bit, but enough of a percentage difference that you have a lot more volume. You have more volume on the down day than the up day. So in other words, there's quite a bit of congestion and quite a bit of indecision at the market. It came back at the last second, true. But that's what moved it up. Now, again, to what extent that's dependent on open market operation and stuff like that, who knows? And you also have this trend line, and every other technical analysis trader is looking at this. Technical traders looking at this. Now you also have you can draw a trend line over here, right? So. And you can also draw a trend line. Let's take a look. This is daily. Oh, there you go. Right? And so the thing there's that other traders are also looking at this and making up their mind and thinking what to do, and they're also looking at the same kind of dynamic. And look at how steep this thing is. This is not. It has to prove itself. It has to flatten out, prove itself before we can say, what, it's buying opportunity again. So on the downside, if it keeps on moving down, that means that it didn't really spend that much time. If it's at 2850 around this level, and this is a strong level. This is a level that goes back for some time, like we said, the 2850, right, right there. Oh, the 28, 40 something. That's my that was my line. So. And so effectively, this range, this zone is an important zone. And if it just hangs around here and doesn't do anything, that means that essentially it is, essentially kind of like losing steam, so to speak. And it's probably going to head down south again because that's the least path of resistance. And then we're looking at down at this level, 2730, 2730 or 37, is it? Yeah, 38, whatever. So you're looking at that level, and that also is, it goes back some time. It's not it's not necessarily the strongest, but still that's an important level. The thing is that if it keeps on moving down, if it breaks 2600 and we have this problem still ongoing, then we probably, and if it shows up on the macro numbers like jobs numbers and unemployment rates and new housing and all this other kind of stuff, retail sales are down. If it shows up in those kind of things, then we're going to be going into recession. Then was all bets are off. Because at around this level, sorry, not 2600, 25, what was that, 2556, 25, god damn it, just going. Yeah, 2579 or so. Because if it breaks there, it's going to break the long term, it goes back how much, 2 years worth of support points going all the way back 2 years. So there's a lot of people who bought in those time frame and who loaded up. And so those people, they're going to be selling out because they don't want to take a loss, right? Obviously. And not only that, you have a lot of people who are, and we're speaking of, more of like funds, and they're going to be facing, they have the stops out there at these levels. They have, a lot of them will be, getting margin calls. So you're going to be seeing a lot of sell-offs at these like general areas, zones, let's say. So that's what I think is happening. It's hard to say what's going to happen tomorrow. If you look at the first leg, you can see how the market really rose up sharply, because usually that's what happens in a hard trending market. The first counter trend is really sharp. The next counter trend, will take some time usually. And so, but then it slowly kind of rolls over to its regular, the main trend, which in this situation is to the downside, to the downtrend. So that's my expectation. It might not pan out, let's say, this week, but I do think that, again, we're not out of the woods by far. We're probably just barely at the start of it, probably the end of the beginning, so to speak. There's a little bit more confidence in the market with Trump is doing late, at least finally someone's doing something. I do think that at this point that it's hard to say what's going to happen tomorrow or day after tomorrow, something like that. But I do think that those are the scenarios. That 2850 line, if it holds, it's going to go up or not go up. It's likely, because it shows, it's showing that there's a good immediate strength. Usually, gonna be bottom feeders basically. People who are basically saying, "Hey, everything's down. Let's buy," right? But then some bad news comes out because again, we are still living under the main big picture of pandemic, or at least epidemic worldwide. And so basically, those are not strong holders. And so as there's bad news coming out again, it will flip the market on to the same direction to the downside. So that's basically, where I think technically speaking, also you can see how the markets, the every time it's going up, the volume comes down. In other words, that's, the classic, mom and pops and not the insiders. Well, not the insiders necessarily, but not necessarily the regular, the professionals. Um, so that's something to look at. A few things as no, I don't want to switch that. Let's go ahead. And market internal also is kind of interesting because if you see RUT, right, it says up. That's something to always also take a look at. Usually the small caps will move before the big caps. The rationale being that a $1 move for Apple is nothing compared to $1 move in some company that's like worth, $2, right? So, in other words, that as the market's kind of selling off, there's only so much money you can sell off from a small, small cap company, small cap stock, because people are not bought into it anyway. So whoever sold out, they're sold out. That goes to show that it's probably we're facing a bottom, right? And so vice versa, same thing. Essentially, if the market is, if the big caps are losing more, the big caps usually hold up the market on one side or the other. So in this situation, the small caps, they did not find any kind of cash flow, money flow, or any kind of, market money flow. Yeah, what the fuck? I mean, so money flow, and so basically what happens is that that again, market internal again, kind of not confirming the up move in the regular market, because again it's significantly down, underperforming the regular market. Then yeah, I mean that's basically where I see the markets headed. Try to make if you look at oil, since they're coming off now, like I've tried to make a trade in FN marathon oil, because a lot of the shale types, like with especially Trump's the government trying to backstop them, for what it's worth, even though long term they're not necessarily commercial as viable. The price have to be high for them to be viable. This might be a good time to again average dollar cost average in. Not like really the lower end companies, because they're gonna be out. They're busted. They're probably gonna be bought out by the big ones like Occidental or MRO, Marathon Oil and people like them. So stuff like that you could take a look at. Again, those are risky positions though, and because at the end of the day, this is still right in the target. The target for basically that the most vulnerable sector in this oil war is going to be these shale producers and explorers and developers. So there's that MRO. I actually put a trade on it. I sold both the puts and calls because it was. It was. It was the implied volatility was even higher than that, and I'm not really trading with a lot of money. So as of right now, I'm just looking at these kind of small ones. But if you do have quite a bit of scratch, like I said, like I'm supporting 3 people, and I'm building on my business, and I'm going with my savings. So I'm not really trading with big money. And what I'm trading usually I'm trading futures and primarily at TradeStation. And in fact, I'm thinking of closing out this fucking account because TD sucks ass. I don't know if that will get me in trouble with TD or they'll try to say something. But I'm pissed off today about somethings. But CVX again, stuff like these, those might be good opportunity to kind of go into. Again, we all need oil. It's not gonna go away. I mean, you need oil, you need transportation, you need all this kind of stuff. I was looking at maritime transportation, Navios shippers and people like them. So that's also something that you can take a look at. What was that? Nevios NM. Is that NMM? Oh, there you go. So things like that might be an opportunity to take a look at. Ah, shit. Right, and they've been down for so long. Um, because like the bulk shipping sector. But now you can take a look at, because they're going to be going down even more. Look at this beautiful chart, right? So stuff like these you can take a look at. Um, some of the other things that even my secondary, I was my secondary prediction, not prediction, but let's say outlook, it came true because the dollar went up how much, and I was thinking that like, and this is amazing. The market went up and the dollar went up too, but then that means what came down? Well, treasuries. Because again, why would anyone read in this thing and get like 50 basis points, right? I mean, you're gonna be buying at you know 109 spot, what, 317 or whatever, and make 60 basis points, 70 basis points, right? And then when you flip out, I mean, you might be, let's say yields go higher, then you're getting out at some, I don't know, 108, right? So why do that when you can just be in cash and not go through all those complications? Man, look at that, Jesus. Look at the yields on them. That is like that's like that has never happened. Essentially, all of them being under one, except for this week. All the whole the term structure, all of them being under under 1%. So that is where I'm at. I actually had some more things to talk about, but it's like I ran out of. I had some like other things I was gonna bring up, but let me think. Oh, gold. No, there was something else. Something else. But anyway, gold is also acting as essentially as a hedge. You see right there, that's one. That's a master level. It's a pretty good level. Also, intermediate level, you can say like around 1646. But I'm not really trading gold right now, but I'm looking at, like I said, the miners as a possible play, as a possible fear play, especially the gold junior miners. And if it keeps on getting bad, then that's something that probably is going to be something that I'll look into and go into position on them. But like I said, right now I'm not really playing with a lot of money, so I'm not putting a whole ton of position. Once I have a different stream of income, I'll load up and actually start trading with big money. But all I'm doing right now is putting on small positions, making small changes in my 401k and stuff like that. That's really it. I had some other things, to be honest with you. You know what? I'm gonna change up the way I do this again. This is the first week I'm doing back to back every day, and I'll have like I got a board, and I'll put it on the board and everything, and kind of go over like everything, like line by line and things by thing, I was talking to Bacon. We're talking about like transportation, what you call them, airlines. He's into Apple. I'm not too sure, but going to Apple, to be honest with you, because everyone's overloaded. As the market goes down, you'll be seeing more of a, like there's just going to be, relatively speaking, more of a exit from Apple, just because everyone's loaded on it. And when you have a capitulation day, what happens is that nobody wants to really sell Apple, so to speak, because everyone's in it, right? And everyone thinks of them as like, let's say like the gold standard. But as the market's crashing, not crashing, but keeps on moving down, at some point you'll have people who give up on that, and I'm talking about basically it's not going to be necessarily the guys, the big, really big players, but it's going to be, your average money manager or the average guy trading, and he's going to basically let go of Apple, and so at that point you might be able to find out good positions in Apple. But that's something to think about, because if the market keeps on running again lower, you have big funds and big money managers, and they'll basically, they get in margin calls, they unload their positions, they have stop sales and all that kind of stuff, they protective stops and all that kind of stuff. So and what are they into, right? They're into big names, and so there's a possibility you might see something like that if we really, whenever we find a real bottom, and the more levels we keep on breaking on the main market. But that's really it. It's harder to say on like the last few days, weeks, where the market would be. Right now, again, probably just gonna bounce around a little bit, kind of retrace. It's not gonna be hard as a move as before. But at the end of the day, really, we're still in a downtrend. We're still gonna be kind of facing downward pressure. If the 28, that this area holds the 28, let's say, what was it, 50, 28, 55, you're looking then the market to kind of move up again. If it does keep on moving down, if it doesn't hold, that means we back down again, and the next level is gonna be the 2808. But really, that's not a really strong level. It's basically something. If you go back, there was 2800, 808 was like the tops back in, what was that, 2018, right? So, or late 2018. But that's not necessarily the strongest level. And if it breaks through, you're looking at 2736, which is relatively speaking, more stronger, because if you you can go back 2 years and you can see how many times that level was hit, and prices moved in between, and also at the same time it acted as support and resistance all at the same time. So that's a much stronger level. If it breaks that, then we're looking at, what was that, 2630 or so. Again, strong, and 2570, 77, that's not as a strong, that's not really strong level. And if it breaks that, then basically, buy gold and treasuries, and don't look at the market for the next one year. So that's really it. I will leave it at that. Oh, one other thing, that I use averages as a person speaking, as a more of a, looking at trend confirmation, that kind of stuff. So I don't, like I said, I'm more of a pure price trader, price action trader. But if you look at it, you can see how bad it is. Yellow sucks. Okay, red. Okay. Something bright, Okay, whatever. All right. So one is it's below 50-day moving average by far, and look at the difference. The distance is amazing. It has to repair the damage it has done, and it's gonna take long time to get that done. By long time, I mean quite a bit of time. I don't mean like a year. It will take quite a bit of time for that to not only move up, but then for the moving average to trend up, and then the price to move above the moving average. So this is, the strength and the direction. It's strong, in a strong downtrend. The same thing with the 150. If you look at the 150 though, it's flattening out, and the price is way below. It's flattening out. It's now trending down. So the 150, a lot of technical traders are looking at that, and they're looking at it and saying we're actually entering and this is a long bear market indicator because it's going over 150 days. So if it really trends down, if it slopes down, and the price is below and keeps on being below, then we're looking at a consistent longer term outlook to the downtrend. In other words, we're entering a bear market, which, in my opinion, like I said before, I think and I'm just gonna be ahead of the curve and say it is a bear market. Um, it's just that it hasn't been like, this is only 3 weeks in, and this is a correction. You know what? It's a massive correction. On the border between a correction and bear market, right? It's right on the border. How about that? Let's just say that. Um, so that is one thing, and yeah. So what the hell was I gonna say? I got some other things. Yeah, I'm gonna start, like I said, doing a better job of like coming up with like topics and kind of like the goals for each day or something like that. So um, that is really it. That is really it. So pivot levels, important levels. Looks like we have a channel forming in the upside, to the upside, and then we have the moving averages that you're taking a look at, and forgetting something else maybe. Um, oh, VIX. Now VIX is getting consistently, it's kind of consistently moving up, right? It came back down and still in between, the big bar. Again, I'm not a candlestick artist, but the whole thing is that now you're seeing that people are more afraid. This consistent fear in the market, right? And now people are going to dollar because they don't want to get bought into the 10-year and 2-year, because that takes more commitment. Going into dollar, you can get out easy anytime. So in other words, that they want to be flush in cash because they want to buy up, or they're ready to buy. But again, that's not necessarily, that's, if people are doing that, that means that they're not putting the money in the equity side. And so what happens? They're waiting for things to happen, and so they will do so. That once the market goes up, they will start to buy up. However, though, the problem with that is that the minute it starts going down again, they're going to go back into the treasuries. And if they were into treasuries right from the beginning, that means that they don't have any free cash, right? That's the point when essential things kind of had hit a bottom, because the only other place that can go now is some other assets, and usually they're going to go into risk on, which is stocks, right? Now it's in cash because people are hoping, or basically they're basically trying to fish for the bottom feeders, right? So, and that's the thing, is that they're not truly then totally, they're still willing to take risk. And so, in other words, that's another signal that we don't necessarily have a bottom yet. Again, my opinion is that we're facing a bear market. Again, the whole thing about trading is that you have to change as the situation changes. So it's all about decision making. So if the decision is to be made that, hey, looks like things have changed, the underlying reasons, the whole tenor of the market has changed, the characteristic quality of the market has changed, I'll change my mind. But as of right now, things still the same as it were before. That's really it. Again, oils are down. Maybe it's time to kind of dollar averaging and things that are all necessary. Things like airlines, things that pay good dividend, things that are energy, like I said, like Chevron, ConocoPhillips, stuff like that, and because again, those are solid companies, and those are the ones that are likely to hold their value just because of the fact that, those are, because they're necessary. Now, something like ConocoPhillips and stuff like that, they're not, look at that. that's actually looking back now. Yeah, it's good valuation, but given how fast it gone down, I'll still like hold off, like I said. But dollar cost average in, not to put big positions. Again, like I said, that you don't, and in this kind of a fast moving market, you don't want to make 100% commitment. You want to see how things pan out, but as the valuation gets better, you want to slowly edge in. But if you're trading intraday, who the fuck gives a shit, right? So I mean, this is like great times. The market's like flipping every second. Um, but yeah, that said, I hope you guys got something out of this. Got any questions? And from in the future, once I get a system like like call-in system and like ways that I can have you guys on, if you guys want to like jump in and talk or whatever, more than happy to have co-hosts and shit like that. So it'll be more fun. Bacon, Micaiah, thanks for being here. Anyone else who joined me here? Oh, yeah. What'd you do? What'd you do, Bacon? Cool, cool. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna cause it'd be nice. Cause I mean, with your background in like really in depth, like paperwork, you know what I mean, like fucking taking a magnifying glass and looking at spreadsheet and shit, and I don't. As you can see, I'm not into that kind of crap. But you know what? So we can do that. So I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna find out how to get co-hosts in, and then I'll get you in. Um, and and yeah, that'll be pretty awesome. We have, although we have to understand that you still work at T. Well, let's not say that you work in the industry. You're a licensed individual, and we have to stay off things, I guess, that are gonna be like opinion based or something like that. Although, who knows? You're not coming in as some kind of a representative of someone, right? It's just it's you. Yeah, Derek. Did you enjoy my me screaming in the air? Relaxing cooking. See, this is awesome. Now we can also have like a cooking side to it now, Like we can have Derek tell us like fucking recipes, After we're done, talking about trading and shit, Derek will come up with the recipes that we're like, yeah, what you cooking? Let's, then he'll bring up food tomorrow for you guys. Same as always. Next week I'll start to actually stream in the morning where like I open up a new channel called this trading streaming channel or trading streaming channel where basically I'll be streaming eight regular market hours. So basically I'll be streaming live while I'm trading, which like I said, I'm not trading as much, but I'm following the market more than I'm trading now. Um, but yeah, as soon as I get a solid stream of income, I'll start to trade more, like basically trade with like 50, 100K. Oh, I got a question. This is what I was pissed off. I was almost gonna close my fucking P account at TD and move it to Trade Station. Um, when you have so I have $4,000 in this TD account, okay? And I tried to short what you may call it. I tried to short Santander, and it was a put. And I called in. It said illegal one shares, but it's a cash covered put, right? Even I have margin, but it didn't let me trade because it says illegal one share. Does it? I know you guys know. Do you know what's all about? Why did it? Why was the trade rejected? Because I have the money. It's just one contract, and it's a $3 put on Santander, which is, by the way, a great trade if you can't. Sell the, I think, March here. Again, no recommendation. Do your research and all that kind of shit. April Santander. It was it had a bid up there. It was before, and the midpoint. Obviously, the midpoint was not gonna get filled at like $2.30. I mean, I was willing to kind of move down, but it was like the bid was different. The ask was different. The ask was also slightly different, and I got rejected those trades and. I was just wondering, why is that the case? I guess call in tomorrow. I called some guys in the trade desk. They didn't know shit. And the thing is that it should be a cash covered put. It's only $3. I have 4,000 in this stupid account, right? Which is also funny because the fucking things from getting slow as fuck. Again, that's beside the point. Anyway, I guess I'll talk to you guys and bitch at you for Think or Swim and TD personally, not over a stream. I hope you guys got something out of it. Thank you, Bacon. We'll start co-hosting. I'll find out how to. We'll figure that out. Next week on, I'll do streams in the morning. So that said, adios, everyone. Derek, have an awesome night. I hope you cook something good. We're going to hang out later on. Right now, I'm just trading intraday. I was looking to go into Santander. Again, Santander is not your small bank. It's a major bank in South America, in Spain, and also in the States. It's a major bank. Now, they don't make a lot of money, and also the fact that, the interest rates situation is not that good, but it's only 1 month trade, and if you get good premium from this, again, I'm not expecting to get still 230, but I'm not getting to expect 230. I mean, even if I make, let's say, obviously, I mean, you're playing a game with the market maker here, but even if you get, let's say, get paid, it's at 312, you get paid like 50 cents, a dollar. I mean, that's still a great trade. This is a named company. It's likely not to go over, they're not like to keel over in a month. You know what I mean? This is not like fucking, I don't know, I mean, name one of the stupid ass companies that are like overvalued, like, what was that? Kronos or some shit like that, right? This is not that. And we're talking about, getting paid like, 50, even if you get 50 cents. Again, this is a game you're playing with the market maker. Let's say you get paid 50 cents. Market has to move down 50 cents. How much are you going to lose, right? The chance of that's a high probability trade. They've been getting hammered, obviously, because of Corona Chan. And Corona Chan is being very bad to them. Look at how much they move. They don't move enough to warrant that, and it's already kind of like things in the immediate sense, it's not oversold, which has been my thesis while I'm looking at the market. So based off of that, we can say that given that it's oversold, given that the whole financial sector has been oversold, it's already got hammered to 3. How much can it go down? So therefore, if you can get paid $1. This is a widespread, obviously. You're taking advantage of, the inefficiency of this market. If you are able to get something like that, like $1, I mean, that's a prayer. Probably not going to happen. Let's say 50 cents. Let's say 60, 70, 80, whatever. Great. I got myself an MRO, Marathon Oil. Again, it's more of a bigger name shale play with the news about the shale thing that they're going to try to buttress, keep them alive. But at the same time, shale's an iffy thing. You're taking a lot of risk. So I got in about of the 3.5 puts. I made about 40 cents. On the 4.5 call, I made about 20 cents. So roughly about 60 cents. So when I did that, the market was about 360, right? So Marathon can go up, but it all depends on the market going up really high on oil. Not, again, once oil moves, it makes a big move. It tends to kind of consolidate and move again. I mean, this is just the pattern of oil, right? Bam, 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 move up, bam. So we're going through the same thing. Oh no, what the fuck? So it goes down, right? Then it kind of consolidates. It kind of consolidates again over here. It moved up again. It's going to consolidate, kind of hang around and move up or roll over again. So the base off of that, it's not likely to happen in like 3 days. That's the thing, right? So high volatility, good amount. This expires in 3 more days. I made 60 cents off of a $3 stock. So all in all, pretty good. I tried to put this trade again, rejected again because I have a $4,000 account and motherfucker says illegal 1 share, which it's like, then how the hell did this trade go in? Number one, I call up the trade desk to say you have to have 5,000. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I'm not using margin. This can't. I'm selling outright positions in cash covered. I mean, that's really it. I'm just going short more of the puts. That's what I'm more interested in because I'm betting that the market has gone down as it is because again, the shock of the oil war is kind of wearing off. I mean, it's still gonna be there, but the big move is already done. Now there'll be consistent grinding move. My bet is to the downside still because it's uncertain, and this is not just a this is happening in the same time with Corona Chan, the whole economic scene not crumbling, like kind of coming apart a little bit. You have geopolitics involved, so this is But anyway, so I'm gonna call tomorrow. Actually, I'm gonna call one of you guys. Fuck all these other people. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Find out what's the requirement for why did my trades get canceled? Because again, Santander's pretty good. That's the one that's given 17th of April. Big name, good solid name. Pretty good amount of premium making on the downside. Again, how far can you go down? I mean, things are down as it is. If this is highly held, if this is held with a lot of big funds, like I've been mentioning, then you know what, on the way down, there's more of a cash outflow, more of a capital outflow. In this case, it's down as it is, right? So. And that is it, man. I want to cut it off right now because I've been talking so long, so much. Look at that. That is beautiful. It just cratered and this motherfucking computer would not let me trade. All right. So, I'll let you guys go. Bacon, later on, we'll go ahead and, try to, go over this again. Positions wise, you also GDX, I was looking at gold, looking at volatility, the volatility, it's interesting to see the volatility, the term, product depth right there. So, you can see like basically, okay, so you can see the basic term structure where, the difference in terms of like the curve, the way it's looking, it's really steep on the call side. Obviously, it's more so, there's more of a expectation of higher volatility in the short term. So in other words, it's the same old thing of high volatility. Maybe good at look into like selling it in the short term, but again, though, that's really highly risky, and I'm not that type of trader. That's more of a tasty trade, Robin Hood type shit, and go. I mean, you could, and probability wise, it's working in your favor. It will work in your favor. I'm just gonna do what I do good. So, ask for bacon through chat. I don't know what that means, but there's some on the weekend. I'm gonna make some bigger videos about like what's happening, kind of meta on the meta level. But anyway, I want to hop off right now because I can keep on talking as you can see, and I can just pull up 10,000 different things and go over them. So I'll leave this be right now. So adios, everyone. I hope you got something out of this. Again, this is not a recommendation. This is not, none of these things I'm doing is a recommendation or advice. Here, let me delete this thing. Yeah, and this is all like fake. This is fake news. None of this is even. I'm not even me. Okay, this is for just educational, informational, even entertainment purposes. Totally ironic. Okay, so there you go. That's why. Oh, I know, right? That's fucked up. I didn't think about it. Because you asked me, then don't ask me. Jesus, Derek. All right, guys. I'll stop it right now. So, see you guys tomorrow. I'll set this up at 8 o'clock every day. I'll do this at 8 o'clock. I'll see. I mean, 8:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. But I'm really going for 8 o'clock. That way, at home, people at home they can watch this shit and whatnot. So I figured that's why. So anyway, adios. Good luck with your trading. Like I said, tomorrow it's a harder day to kind of speculate. My speculation is that it's gonna be probably gonna go to the upside. Again, we're in a counter trend move as more the market goes down. As at first it was steep, the counter trend was steeper, but as we go down, we're gonna see more of this, like more of a basing on consolidation counter trend. I do think in the next few days it might be counter trending to the upside. Maybe not big moves, but then I'll roll over again, because at the end of the day, Fed fund rate, this and that, all this other stuff doesn't do anything. You need to give. You need to do. They need to do to the Chinese factory workers what they did to Biden. Oh yeah, Biden. Today's primary. Since Biden is winning, Uncle Applesauce. Um, basically, I mean, that's again the good news for the market. So the market will take that as a good news tomorrow. Because Uncle Applesauce, even though he's senile, at least people think he's not a communist, right? But Bernie never had a chance. So, his out. Uncle Applesauce. It's gonna be fun as shit when they do all these debates. They'll be for the lulls. I'll stream them like live all the time, and I'll probably do a different place, not YouTube. But anyway, so that market will take that as a good in a good direction. So that is a positive for tomorrow. Another reason to expect maybe the market to go up. But at the end of the day, we're still living under the same situation of downtrending market, underlying condition the same. So maybe right now it might counter trend, but soon enough it'll go back, find itself in the trend again. It's something that you got to be prepared for. Trading counter trend, you have to be quick on your feet. In other words, like it's not advisable to keep trades overnight. Generally, it's really intraday, depending on trends and strength of trends and strength of these moves. There's and also it's a good time to like sell off positions that you were not able to sell off before. That is if you were to think that this is maybe strong correction to maybe as of right now weak bear market. In my opinion, as I've mentioned, I do think it's a bear market, and that's it. Like I said, none of this is real. So not an advice, not guidance, none of that type of stuff. Just simply education, information, or fun, entertainment, ironic, fun. That's it. All right. I'll see you guys later.